This is video number 2. The key to addition and subtraction in fractions that we started with at the beginning was that you can only add and subtract things that have the same units. So we have 4 inches here, 20 inches here. If they ask you to add or subtract in units, like inches or feet or miles or Fahrenheit or whatever, they have to be the same unit as each other. So in this case, they are, so yes, you're allowed to add. In this case, we're actually dividing, but that's okay. The point is the same. Here, if we are having 2 sides of our property fenced, and these measurements are both given in feet, we are allowed to add and subtract. Here, we're subtracting 10 inches from 56 inches. In this case, if we are making, say we have a 56-inch long board, and we want to cut 10 inches off, there is something we are omitting for those of you who actually do work with wood at all. Of course, you know that some of that wood will get turned into sawdust, but in math problems, that's not the case. Unless they specifically mention it, there is no such thing as kerf. This is a laser or a scalpel or whatever cutting this board in half with no waste. When we are working in the imperial system, one of the biggest skills is converting units. If we want to add or subtract something, it needs to have the same units. So we need to be able to convert from one to another. So here is an example, convert 20 feet into inches. They say to go from bigger to smaller, you multiply, which is true. But I want to show you another way. So it says we're converting 20 feet into inches. If I have 20 feet, I would like to use a unit fraction because these are a very handy thing in all of math. If I have feet and I don't want the unit to be in feet anymore, I know that if I have a fraction, I'm going to write this one over 1. If I have a fraction and I'm multiplying fractions and I have a pair of factors top and bottom, I can cancel them out. So the first step is I would like to cancel out feet. The next step is I would like to replace it with, it asked me for inches. So the first way to set up this problem is to write out multiplication by a fraction. Then to fill in the units so that you cancel out the one that you don't want and you put in the one you do want. Then the next part is you just need to have inside of here 2 numbers that are representing the same quantity or the same size or the same weight or whatever. In this case, it's length. So I know that 1 foot is equal to 12 inches. So here I would multiply by 12 inches per foot. Foot and foot would cancel, and when I get my answer, I know that it's in the proper unit. So the proper answer would be 240. This type of thing, I'm going to do another example here, convert 15 yards into feet. If I have 15 yards, I'm going to write it over 1 just to remind ourselves it's a fraction. And I want to convert it into feet. I'm going to write a unit fraction. I'm going to put yards on the bottom so that I can cancel top and bottom, yards and yards. And then I know that I want the unit feet. So in this fraction over here, I just need to say what 2 numbers are equal to each other. I know 1 yard is equal to 3 feet. So in this case, I'm taking 15 yards, multiplying by 3 feet per yard, yards cancel, and I end up with my 45 feet. This technique of using the unit fraction works all the time. It doesn't matter if you're going from big to small or from small to big. It works. So we'll do an example here. Convert 60 inches into feet. We could write 60 inches. I'm going to write it over 1 just to remind ourselves there's a top and a bottom. And I know I want to get rid of the unit inches, so I can cancel top and bottom like that. And I know I want to replace it with feet. And then in this fraction, I'm doing the same thing. The top and the bottom just have to represent the same amount. So I know 1 foot is 12 inches, and in this case, I'm taking 60 inches, multiplying it by 1 foot per 12 inches, which is the same as multiplying by 1 over 12 or dividing by 12. I get my 5 feet anyway. It's the exact same technique we used for going big to small or small to big. It just requires you to pay attention to which unit you have, which unit you want to get rid of, which is the one you already have, and which unit you want to keep. If you set them up like this, this will always give you a conversion that works.